Hey, running friends. Welcome to the Wrinkled Runner podcast. I'm Sherry, the Wrinkled Runner. I'm over 50 and I love to run wherever I go, but Buffalo, New York is my home. If you are looking to start to run or you're an older runner, this podcast is especially for you, so subscribe now. I love to help people get running and keep running. Are you an older runner? As an older runner myself, I know it can be hard to find specific resources about running just for us. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you some of the websites and YouTube channels that may be of interest to you if you are what is known as a master's runner, someone who runs over the age of 40. I'll also link to the YouTube videos and blog posts down below. Since running is running, it can be hard to only have content specifically for those of us who are older. What applies to us often applies to everyone, unless as women we are speaking about menopause and all the fun that comes with that. So it can be hard to find a dedicated source just for running over the age of 40. So keep in mind with what I'm directing you to, it may have other content that isn't age specific. Since I'm known as the Wrinkled Runner, everything I share about my personal experience on the podcast, YouTube channel, and blog is from the perspective of a runner in her 50s, whatever the topic. But there are specific videos and posts geared towards the older runner, and I'll link to those in the show notes. As for other resources you may want to check out, Sherpa Herb has a YouTube channel, and he's an older runner that specializes in the MAF or Maffetone method for running. The MAF method stands for Maximum Aerobic Function, and it utilizes heart rate training for running, which I know a lot of people start out or keep continuing to train that way with the heart rate. There are those who love heart rate training and those who don't, but if you're someone who is interested in this method, Sherpa Herb is a channel that will have information for you. Second Act TV is a channel that covers all topics for the over 50 crowd, not just running. I'll link to the running ones, but check out the other videos as well because there are a lot of topics on there that you may be interested in. Runners Connect is a resource that I tap into often, mostly the blog, but they have a YouTube channel. They are a running in general type resource, but have articles on the website and videos that are geared just for the older runner. Their podcast is where I first was introduced to them, and the host for a while was an older runner, so give them a listen as well. Just go to runnersconnect.net. There are other YouTube videos that speak to the older runner if you use that as your search. But you're also going to see some rug advertisements as well. I know when I first started Wrinkled Runner, everything that would come up was how to iron the thing that goes down your dining room table. So a lot of times I come up and search now, but interesting how sometimes searches come up with things that you are definitely not going to be interested in. A blogger that I follow on Instagram and Twitter and also subscribe to her newsletter is Katie Holmes from Run Young 50. She has a really great list of older women runners on her blog, and she does some really interesting historical investigation and shares a lot of cool stories about runners that I've never heard of before. She's very active on Twitter, so I would highly recommend that you follow her. There's an entertaining blog by a woman by the name of Karen, and she's an older runner, lots of articles and race-related content, and she's over at thisoldrunner.com. Pete McGill is a master's runner that has written books and has been interviewed on YouTube channels and podcasts, and he used to have a blog that has been discontinued, but I'll link to some of the interviews and different things that he has done. But if you do an internet search, you can find others. He's very knowledgeable, and he changed my running life, actually, when I heard him speak on a podcast on getting faster by training correctly. And, of course, I will definitely link to that podcast episode down below. It's from Tina Muir of Running for Real. I'll also be linking to other running websites that have more of a general bent towards running, but they have some articles on aging runners, and so you can give those a look as well. If you have a blog, YouTube channel, or podcast geared for the older runner, please send me a link via email at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com. I would love to check it out. I had done a blog post probably a year and a half ago now, or 2 years ago, on resources for older runners. And so I looked to that for some of the content to put into this podcast. And some of the links that I had over there were out of date. Unfortunately, blogs go in and out all the time. And so some were discontinued, or some articles, had been retired and not on there anymore. So I do need to refill that blog post with some other resources from older runners. So if you have your own, or you have a source that you really love, please let me know so that I can replenish the blog post. So for this episode, because I'll be linking in the show notes to other articles and other things that I have found, you're going to want to take a look at that. And you may find some new running friends to follow as well. This week's website spotlight is to help you with your strength training. If you're just getting into running, you might not realize that strength training can benefit you. I found a website called, I think it's pronounced Jeffit or Jfit, Jefit, that can track your workouts and has tons of them that you can do. I have a home gym, and it can sometimes be hard to find routines or whatever online that are geared for if you do have equipment. So much is labeled like equipment free and, core work and different things like that if you don't have equipment. So it can be hard to find things that if you do have equipment, different routines and things that you can get into. So after a search, I did find this site, and I've been really excited to get into a consistent strength routine because I've been using some of these workouts pretty consistently. So check it out. You can use the website, or they also have an app for either Apple, the iPhone, or they also have Google Play app. And the basic edition is free, and I am finding that that is all I really need to get routines, because I get bored really easily with stuff, so I need variety. And this has so many routines on it, so much you can do for strength training. So go ahead and check that out. Next week, I'll be again focusing on the older runner by talking about knee pain. Even though it's been debunked that running ruins knees, those of us who are older can still struggle with pain and injury in that area. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you know another runner who could benefit from today's topic, go ahead and share it. Do you have any running questions? You can ask me. Email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com, and if I can't answer your question, I will do the research to find the answer and share it with you. The questions I get from listeners like you help me develop episodes, so please don't be shy. You can sign up for my once-a-month newsletter using the link provided so that you can have all the Wrinkled Runner resources from the past month all in one place. I also have opened up my virtual coaching in addition to coaching one-on-one with those in the Buffalo, New York area. So head to my coaching page on the Wrinkled Runner website, which I will, of course, link to, and check out how we may be able to work together. Until next Monday, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the run.